Hi everyone, and welcome back to Storytime with Collie. Today's story I'm so excited for because I've been waiting to read this one for the longest time and share with you all. So I hope you enjoy it just as much as I do. Are we ready? Here we go. It's called Funny Bones. This is how the story begins. On a dark, dark hill, there was a dark, dark town. In the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. In the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. In the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase. Down the dark, dark staircase, there was a dark, dark cellar. And in the dark, dark cellar, some skeletons lived. There was a big skeleton, a little skeleton, and a dog skeleton. One night, the big skeleton sat up in bed. He scratched his skull. "What shall we do tonight?" he said. "Let's take the dog for a walk," said the little skeleton. "And frighten somebody." "Good idea," said the big skeleton. So the big skeleton, the little skeleton, and the dog skeleton left the dark, dark cellar, climbed the dark, dark staircase, and stepped out into the dark, dark street. They walked past the houses and the shops. They walked past the zoo and the police station. They went into the park. The big skeleton scratched his skull. "What shall we do now?" he said. "Let's play on the swings," said the little skeleton. "And throw a stick for the dog, and frighten somebody." "A good idea," the big skeleton said. "Let's have a ride on the elephant, skeleton," the little skeleton said. "Let's have a word with the parrot, skeleton." The big skeleton scratched his skull. "Let's keep out of the way of the crocodile, skeleton," he said. When they were back in the street, and when they still could not find anybody to frighten, the big skeleton said, "What shall we do now?" The little skeleton scratched his skull. "Let's frighten each other," he said. "That's better than nothing." "Good idea," the big skeleton said. So after that, the big skeleton frightened the little skeleton. The little skeleton frightened the big skeleton. The big skeleton and the little skeleton frightened the dog skeleton. And the dog skeleton frightened them. Meow, woof. Ooh, help. They hid around corners and frightened each other. They climbed up lampposts and frightened each other. They jumped out of dustbins and frightened each other. All the way home. And that is how the story ends. On a dark, dark hill, there was a dark, dark town. In the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. In the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. In the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase. Down the dark, dark staircase, there was a dark, dark cellar. In the dark, dark cellar, some skeletons lived. They still do. The end.